Hey guys, welcome back to True Space. This is Harith, your medical astrologist, and today we're going to be speaking about the relationship that is created between the 6th house of Virgo and the 12th house Pisces. When these two houses, these two bodily organs work together, they create the axis, the 180-degree relationship, what I like to call the digestive integumentary immune axis. Digestive coming in from Virgo, the 6th house, and the intermediary, but also the immune part coming in from Pisces, the 12th house. So by listening to this video, you're gonna see how does your digestive system kind of work, and how does your skin system kind of work, and how does that relate to your immune system. And even though you may not be a Virgo or a Pisces, or these element may not be dominant in your chart, you will still get to learn how these organs work within you, because our body is the physical representation of the 12 houses, so they exist within you. The users do not have a predominance towards them. So let's get started. Virgo is cold and dry, melancholic, and Pisces is cold and wet, phlegmatic. So when I say terms like phlegmatic and melancholic, these are the terms back then used in the ancient world to describe earth signs, water signs, air signs, fire signs, and things of that nature. In many different areas, they call them different things, but in the medieval world, medieval Europe, they called earth sign melancholic, they called water sign phlegmatic, and they called fire signs caloric, and they called air signs sanguine. And when I start speaking and mention things such as coldness or dryness or hotness or dry or wetness, these are qualities of alchemies that were studied back then in the ancient world to understand how nature work and how nature express itself. So by understanding Virgo's cold and dry, you actually get a deeper understanding what does this energy represent. And by understanding what is Pisces cold and wet, you're gonna see how these elements, these qualities, these conditions work through the organs and the body system. So it's very important to know about them. So the 6th house Virgo and the 12th house Pisces are ruled by earth and water element, which are considered yin feminine, which make them like to receive, internalize from the external world. So we got masculine element like fire and air, which deal with masculine energy that allow them to externalize, push out. This is why fire signs and air signs always communicate, express, and things of that nature. Air signs express being intelligent, ideas, knowledge, while fire signs express imagination, intuition, their visions, and sometimes they're delusional. But earth and water, they don't deal with expression, they don't deal with pushing out, externalizing, they deal with internalizing. They receive from the external world, then they internalize it, then they express it. They may not be as expressive as fire and earth, but they still deal with a little bit of expression, because that mainly due to them being feminine based, internalizing based. And this is very good a starting point to understand what type of health problem that fire signs, air signs, and water signs and earth signs share, but also separate them. Fire signs and air signs, they share the problems of over externalization, which lead to over exhaustion and them overworking these organs and body system. For example, Aries, they over externalize their brain and nervous system. Air signs like Aquarius, they over externalize their meridian and astral size, their ability to think and ability to communicate, which take effect on their body, but it gets played out through the house that is corresponded to the organs. This is why it's important to understand the sign, what house they represent, and the meaning behind it. While earth and water signs, they deal with more of internalization issues that play out as things building up in their body, because they're not releasing, they're not pushing out. So it's easier for them to develop toxins in their body. It's easier for them to develop digestion issues and things of that nature. And you can see how fire, water and earth, and so on and so forth, how them existing together, they could learn from each other and things of that nature. Now, sign Virgo and Pisces are yin feminine. They like to receive and internalize. This make them deal with the rest and digest aspect of your nervous system. So your nervous system gets split into two parts. we have your fight or flight mode, which you utilize when you're fighting or you're running away from your enemy. This fight and flight mode gets activated with fire and air elements because they deal with externalization and they're masculine. So the fight or flight mode is masculine, and then we have the rest and digest mode of our nervous system, which is the feminine side of our nervous system, which get activated through the elements of earth and water, since they deal with internalizing. Hence the term resting, feminine, and digestion, which is feminine in nature. So you can see by knowing which element you're dominated, and you can see which part of your nervous system you're overutilizing more. So by you having an awareness, you know uh, how much to utilize it and how much not to utilize it. But it takes practice. This is where things such as yoga, meditation, and things of that nature that comes in. But you just gotta have a little bit of awareness of what's happening internally and externally. Furthermore, the mutable modality plays out through Virgo and Pisces as the bodies and the organs having adaptable, flexible organs to them. So when we start breaking out these organs and these body system that is related to Virgo and Pisces, you're gonna see how the mutable modality play out through them, because you can not only know the element plays a big part, but this is where the modality also plays a big part, because the modality is what changes different elements. This is how Virgo is different from Capricorn, which is cardinal earth, while Virgo is mutable earth. And this is how cardinal earth Capricorn is different from Taurus, which is fixed earth. So it's important to understand the modality, because the modality will show you how these organs work in a more deeper way, but also the psychological factor. Furthermore, the mutable signs that the houses have a predisposition to immunological disorder, which make them have the lowest vitality. So due to the nature of the mutable signs, Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini, they naturally have immunological orders, and they have a less vitality, which makes sense that they're the mutable signs. But also this helps them because it gives them a higher resistance to disease compared to fixed and cardinal signs or houses. That is because the mutable signs, the mutable energy, rules the adaptable changes, the flexibility of the adaptable changes, and that plays out physically as autoimmune responses, histamine response, allergies, which makes sense. And the mutable signs rule the transition into the new seasons. So the quality of those mutable energies having the lowest vitality, but they are resistant to disease. It comes from the fact that mutable energy rules the transition into the new season. So if we have our 360 space that we travel in and we split it into four parts, we get spring, summer, fall, winter. Once we divide these into 12 parts, each of them gets divided into cardinal, fixed, mutable. And what you're gonna notice in each season, they have the same order. The spring season starts with cardinal fire, Aries, and then fixed earth, Taurus, and then mutable, Gemini. And then from there we go to the summer season. And what's the summer season starts with? Cancer, cardinal water. And then we go into Leo, fixed fire. And then we go into Virgo, mutable earth. And what does Virgo does? It usher us into what? The fall season. So the mutable signs are the portion of the season that are responsible to allow us to transit into a new season. And you're gonna notice how every time it's the mutable season, mutable energy, you're gonna see how this is the time where your body is getting adapted. You might even start getting sick and things of that nature to prepare you to go into the next season. Just imagine the transition between the fall season and the winter season. Imagine if Sagittarius, the mutable fire, is not right there to prepare us to go into winter. It's almost like you're going to crash immediately. This is why the mutable season prepare us to go into the new seasons. The 6th house Virgo and the 12th house Pisces, both of them share the quality of coldness. Coldness means to contract, to satiate, to slow down. It's the opposite of hotness. Hotness deals with expansion, it deals with circulation, it deals with dispersion and things of that nature. And you even can see that through the movement of atoms. This is why it plays out through earth signs and water signs being more calmer or chiller than fire and earth. who are more masculine, more externalization based. Now, this make it easier for Virgo, the sixth house, and Pisces, the 12th house, to retain white bile lymph and the black bile, the liquid food. So the coldness quality, this is how could affect these signs or these houses by making them retain or slow down when it comes to handling these humors, these biles that they're associated with. So like we said earlier, if you watch my other videos, we said fire signs are caloric, so they're associated with the yellow bile, and we said water signs are phlegmatic, so they're associated with the lymph, the mucus, and we said also that the earth signs are associated with the black bile, which is liquid food, ATP, and we said sanguine sign, air signs are associated with the red bile, which is our blood flow. So these signs, since they're cold, the coldness takes effect and make them retain the white lymph and the black bile. And this plays out through Virgo, the sixth house, as them suffering from digestion issues because that coldness factor. And the 12th house Pisces, they could deal with problems related to mucus and lymph discharge. This is why people like to associate Pisces with the immune system. But it's the coldness factor that rules both Virgo and Pisces. Now, but what separates them is that the quality of dryness. So Virgo is dry. Dryness means to be objective and to separate. And that plays out as the sixth house of Virgo, digestion, breaking down food, assimilate nutrients. So Virgo has the quality of dryness, which allow them to be objective but also allow them to separate things apart. This is why your body and your digestive system is so technical when it does things. Hence why Virgo deals with practicality, routines and patterns, analyzation. The 12th house Pisces but deals with wetness. This is how Pisces is different than Virgo, even though they share the quality of coldness. Virgo is dry and cold, while Pisces is cold and wet. The wetness make them subjective and make it and deal with connection, fluidity, and things of that nature. This get played out through the intermediary as as secretions and absorption of oils, and it prevent water loss or gain, helping us in hydration. So this quality of wetness coming in from Pisces allow us to produce certain oil secretions from our skin. This is how your skin even starts getting moisturized, or even this is how your skin responds to the physical world. But also plays a big factor in preventing water from the external world from coming in and helping water stay inside our body. Hydration. So that's the quality of wetness. So basically, Virgo, the digestive system, deal with eating internally, while Pisces, the skin, deal with eating externally, which I'm gonna go into deeper. So now I'm gonna break it down, the energetic force that makes up the Virgo house. Now I'm not gonna only speak about the planetary ruler, but I want to speak about the debilitation, the fall, and things of that nature, but also speak about the squares, the king kongs, the in conjunctions, which gonna give us a wider picture. How does the sixth house Virgo, the digestive system, actually work? The sixth house Virgo ruled the ending of the summer season. So Virgo deals with ushering us from help us to go from the summer season into the fall season, which is kind of funny since the summer season is the area where our vital organs stay in. But when you go into the fall season, below the horizon, you're gonna see the organs that are responsible for what the fall season, letting go, defecating, releasing waste and things of that nature. So, and you're gonna see the same quality of that in Virgo. So Virgo rules the ending of the summer season and the start of the digestive skin immune axis. So Virgo is the mutable signs that allow us to transit from the summer season where our vital organs stay working to allow our body to function, but it connect these organs with the fall season to help them get rid of the waste or what the summer exalted in them, both biologically and psychologically. So the sixth house Virgo in nature is cold and dry, and is ruled by Mercury. Mercury in alchemy nature is considered to split and to transport, When you think of Mercury, I want you to think of Hermes, the Greek god that deals with transportation. What did Hermes do? He delivered messages and things of that nature. So internally, it works the same way, because Mercury can play out as your veins and your arteries, which help you to move things around. Now, there's five parts of digestions. This is how technical Virgo the sixth house get, and if you do not cover or look into every single part of your digestive system, specifically for your Virgo, then you can see which part or which area that you're not doing good in, and this is how you actually look at it as a whole. So there's five parts of digestions: intake, eating food; secretions, which is how you secrete enzymes, very important for digesting food; peristalsis, digestions, which is mechanical and chemical breakdown; and finally absorption. Absorption is how you absorb your nutrients. So a lot of us, we eat food, but how good do you chew your food? And you gotta realize the fact that you have your saliva gland that allows secretions to happen to help you digest, break down your food. And I notice sometimes that I don't chew my food properly, so that could lead to digestion issues. Peristalsis, this is the mechanical and the chemical digestions of our body. This is where your body takes the food, starts with the mechanical part first, which it plays out as waves to break down as much food as possible. Then the chemical parts comes in, and this is something good to look into, because a lot of people, they may suffer from over acidity in their stomach because they eat too much acidic food, so they should switch to alkaline food, or they could take some form of supplements that allow the acid to work better or to calm down. And also the absorption part. So after your body breaks down the food, digest it and digest it and whatnot, so now your body has to absorb it, which is very important, because a lot of us eat, but a lot of us don't absorb the minerals, the vitamins that we need. And if you know anything about fat people or obesity itself, when you're obese, your body believes that you're not getting the food, because their body, the cell's goal is to get the minerals and the vitamins. But if you eat bad quality of food, what's gonna happen is that the body is gonna think, hey, this guy is eating all this food, but it's not getting the minerals and the vitamins. So it's gonna send more signals towards the brain to tell you, eat more food, eat more food. But the body needs vitamins and minerals. And for it to get these vitamins and minerals, you should watch out for the absorption factor. How good are you at absorption food? This is where when you look into supplements, there's supplements your body could absorb easier, and there's supplements your body cannot absorb. This includes things like chelated supplements, and I think oxidative supplements. Oxidative is very hard to absorb them, or you cannot absorb all of them. Chelated are much more easier to absorb. And finally, also a very important part of our digestion is defecating and excretions, which is something a lot of people don't pay attention to. The quality of getting rid of your waste. Do you struggle? Do you go through pain? Is it too dry? And things of that nature. This is why Virgo, the digestive system, the stomach, sextile Scorpio, the eighth house. And what is eighth house rules? It rules the whole area of our lower body that allows us to get rid of waste. This is why this is why Scorpio rules the reproductive organ, but also deals with the condition of toxic buildup or lack of waste release and things of that nature, which is something that Scorpios could deal with, since they are ruled by fixed water. So Virgos, sixth house people, they could deal with problems related to the digestive system ability to assimilate and break down food, which make them deal with constipation, indigestions, gallbladder issues, kidneys, because before Virgo, after Virgo the sixth house, we have what? Kidneys. And the kidneys are responsible by balancing your blood pressure, cleaning out your body and things of that nature. And you can see how by you not having a good digestive system, not eating a good quality of food, you're gonna start eventually to affect the sign right next to Virgo, which is Libra, kidneys, the scale of balance. Also cancers, which is essentially the mutation of cells, which is something I'm not gonna say a lot of Virgos they could deal with it, but I'm gonna say that what you digest could really determine how your cells respond, aka mutate. So you want to be careful right there. The liver and the pancreas problem, since there are accessory organs. The liver and the pancreas, they play an important part in our whole digestion process, because the liver produces bilirubin, which is stored in our gallbladder, and bilirubin, the yellow bile, allow us to break down food, and bilirubin represent the fire element within our body. And I feel like a lot of earth signs, they lack that fire, they lack that intensity, which play out through their digestive system being very cold and dry. This is why Capricorns, things of that nature, could suffer from arthritis, stiffness, and things of that nature, because their gallbladder is being very stiff, or their liver is not producing enough bilirubin. So if you're an earth sign, I definitely recommend you to check out your how well your hormonal system is working. Do you have enough bilirubin and things of that nature? But also Virgos, they could deal with insanity, something very common for Virgos, since they are a mutable sign. When you have a mutable sign that is flexible and adaptable in its way of thinking with the element of earth, what is practical, what makes sense, you end up with a person who's always worrying, who can't even deal with the reality, who's constantly trying to do what makes sense, but he cannot do what makes sense because he can't even decide. Something very common for Virgos. So they need to learn to calm down. But they're not the only sign that deal with insanity. A lot of Sagittarius, Geminis, Pisces, things of that nature. All mutable signs. Mercury rules and is exalted in Virgo. Mercury is rising and is exalted in Virgo. When I say something is exalted or it's rising, it means it likes to overwork itself in this body part, or in this energy. So Mercury does not only rules Virgo, but it's exalted there. This means your digestive system is in the process of recovery, or you can over exhaust itself in the sixth house digestive system, which is responsible for breaking down food via using muscular contraction to move the food through the digestive tracts, and it needs oxygen, mercury, to function properly. So for you to be able to digest your food properly, you need the mercury aspect to help you to transport things, because I said mercury is the messenger of the gods, but mercury allow you to get oxygen but also allow you to transport food. This is why Mercury rules Gemini, the lungs, the respiratory system, but also rules what? Virgo, the digestive system. Now the body cells depend upon the products of both the respiratory and the digestive, Gemini and Virgo. People ruled by Mercury to function and maintain themselves. Why? Because it allows you to produce energy, allow the cells to burn the nutrients, the molecule to fuel the cell. So our body needs the masculine side of Mercury, Gemini, and the feminine side of Virgo to be able to gain the oxygen and the nutrients to fuel ourselves. So this is how you can see how Virgos and Gemini, they could share the issues of Mercury both in a biological level. Now Venus is debilitated in Virgo. Venus represents the component of hormones in the excretory, and it's losing energy in this area. This is why Virgo opposed Pisces, because Venus is exalted in Pisces, which means that it's going to be debilitated in Virgo, and that means it's losing energy, which corresponds to a weak hormonal and excretory system, and this will affect the digestive system this way. This is important sign the hormones that control the digestive enzymes that are secreted in the stomach and the intestine during the process of digestion absorption. So the fact that Venus debilitated in Virgo can show you how your digestive system could lack the enzymes, the secretions, the hormonal response of Venus to help you break down these food. So this is why actually Virgos, they suffer from digestion issues, because they lack the quality coming from Venus, which is gonna help them break down food much more easier. Because in alchemy, Venus is considered hot and wet, which is just like your secretions and your enzymes, which has a fiery nature. This is why fire signs are better at digestion compared to earth signs. So Venus hot and wet nature help Virgo cold and dry nature. So Virgo's cold and dry, Venus is hot and wet. So they oppose each other, which allow them to work better. So if you're a Virgo, I definitely recommend for you to look into some sort of hormonal supplement, or look into your hormonal system if you can't digest your food properly. And you don't have to be necessarily a Virgo to take that advice. Anybody would benefit from that. Neptune is debilitated in Virgo. Neptune is 180-degree away from its home, Pisces, the 12th house, the intermediary, which is a debilitated position for Neptune, and Neptune rules the condition of surface of organs and tissues. This will make you experience the weakness in the 6th house Virgo, the digestive system. For example, the intermediary system works the digestive to encourage the uptake of calcium from sunlight. A healthy function of our skin is important because it's related to the digestive system ability to digest and assimilate dietary fat and oil that is essential for our body to make the productive oil for our skin and our hair. So Virgo needs the quality of Pisces Neptune to absorb sunlight to allow the uptake of calcium in our body, because calcium plays a big part in our body. But also a healthy function of Neptune, which is what Virgo lacks, can help you improve your digestion and your assimilation of dietary fat and oil, since you can see how Neptune is the quality of coldness and wetness. So this is where Virgos, they could deal with a lot of dryness issues in their hair and their skin. Now, the sixth house Virgo square the third house Gemini. The digestive system and the respiratory system issues are linked together. Interestingly, the world of journal gastroenterology state that the intestinal diseases often is the results in airway disease and vice versa. So Mercury ruling Gemini and Virgo tells they're telling us here in Science, the Gastroenterology Journal, that their issues are they're synonymous and they're vice versa. So those with lung and intestinal diseases often experience a low grade of systematic inflammation coming from Jupiter. Hence why Mercury rules both Virgo, the sixth house, and Gemini, the third house. So Virgo and Gemini issues are very synonymous. So if you have something going on with your respiratory system, it's gonna affect your digestive system. So that and vice versa. So whatever you eat gonna affect your lungs, and whatever you smoke, your lungs gonna affect your digestive system. And it's kind of funny how Gemini and Virgo, even though they square each other, they oppose the signs ruled by Jupiter. So Virgo oppose Pisces, which make it easier for them to have inflammation issues, and Gemini oppose Sagittarius, which make it easier for Gemini to develop inflammation issues in their lungs because of the opposition. Now the sixth house Virgo square the ninth house Sagittarius. People like to associate liver problems with Sagittarius, since a lot of people like to associate liver with the fiery quality since it produces bilirubin. But I like to say that the liver is part of our digestive issue system, but it's naturally square Sagittarius. This is where the association comes in, and this create liver issues. Because Sagittarius energy make people overconsume food and alcohol, while Virgo is pickier and detail orientated for food. And I can tell you this for a fact because my ascendant is Sagittarius, and sometimes could maybe go too far in food and things of that nature, while my moon is in Virgo, which allow me, well, not allow me, but make me more pickier, detail orientated about food and things of that nature, and it's a square. So I have this clash going on between my personality and between my body organs. Now, the sixth house Virgo in conjunct or King Kongs the first house Aries. This creates a brain relationship with the digestive tract that is known as the vagus nerve. This is where you always learn about, oh, the brain health has something to do with the digestive system health, because the digestive system health, that you don't have a good bacteria develop in your digestive system, that's going to affect your brain and nervous system. And if you don't have a good brain and nervous system, that's gonna affect your stomach, your digestive system, or even on a psychological level. Your brain affects your stomach, and your stomach affects your brain. And a lot of people like to call your stomach as your second brain, which makes a lot of sense. It's ruled by Mercury. It literally thinks. It might even thinks faster than your brain. Now we're gonna break down the Pisces 12th house. Now the intermediary, the 12th house Pisces, interact with the digestive 6th house Virgo by gaining its building block from the digestive process. So Pisces need Virgo because it needs those minerals, it needs the nutrients. So it extract nutrients from the food we consume with Virgo, the digestive system, which in the Bible they like to call the house of bread. But that's a whole nother story. Now these nutrients are broken down and delivered into the blood of the cardiovascular through what? Leo the fifth house. This is why right after Virgo the sixth house, we have Leo the fifth house, which allow us to transport food, which allows us to transport oxygen, hormones, and many things. That's why it's important to have healthy cardiovascular system, healthy blood flow, because it's the system that is responsible to moving these things. As part of our summer season, and if our summer season is not strong in our body, we're gonna start experiencing coldness, and we're gonna go towards winter, death. This system delivers the nutrients to the dermis, the middle layer of the skin. Without the digestive system, the skin would lack the energy and the necessary component that it needs to function and produce cells. The skin is one of the first defense mechanism that our skin need, our immune system need, and our immune system is ruled by what? Cancer, the fourth house, through utilizing tiny glands in the skin which represent the quality of wetness, so your skin could produce oil. This is how the skin can play out as your first immune system. So the skin secrete oils, the quality of wetness, in just like in alchemy, that enhance the barrier and the function of the skin. So the better your skin is at producing oil, moisture, wetness, it could protect your body, because the skin plays out as our first layer, our first immune system. It's the layer that separates our internal organs from the external world. And you could see how that makes sense, since Cancer trine Pisces the 12th house through a 120-degree relationship, and the fact they are water energy, so they work together, create opportunities. A trine. Also, the 12th house Pisces play a big role in controlling our body temperature through sensory reception. So our skin that exists in the external part of our body allow us to sense things all over the world. Well, not over the world, but the temperature, the energy change, the frequency, the vibration, and things of that nature. If you really sit back, you know, realize how sensitive your skin is. Like, you could detect the temperature change very easily. This is why when it's cold outside, you go outside, you immediately wear a jacket or things of that nature. Your skin will gonna make you respond immediately through sensory reception. This is why Pisces semi-sextile Aries, because after Pisces, the winter, the end of winter, what do we have? We have Aries, the brain and nervous system. So through how close they are and how far each other these houses are, you kind of see how they work together. The 12th house Pisces represent the intermediary, which help to synthesize and absorb. The 12th house Pisces represent the intermediary system, which helps synthesize and absorb vitamin D. The intermediary system works with the digestive to encourage the uptake of calcium from our dietary system, which is good for our bones, since Pisces, the 12th house, sextile Capricorn, the skeleton system. This is how our skin could help us develop better bones health, a better bone health through absorbing vitamin D from sunlight. Because what? Pisces sextile Capricorn. This substance enters the bloodstream through our capillaries network in the skin. Also, furthermore, the research shows that vitamin D, which is a hormone, is not only a vitamin, is way more than that, can activate certain regulatory immune responses in our body, which prevent the release of substance that could cause our allergies to get worse. So the skin, the 12th house, received from the external world. Now the skin responds by creating a hormonal response, which we call vitamin D, and what rules the endocrine hormone system towards the second house. This is why Taurus, the second house, sextile Pisces. Then Taurus, the second house, is going to sextile Cancer, the fourth house, to create the immune response. This is why sunlight, the hormone vitamin D, is very important for our hormonal system, but also our immune system. Now, the 12th house Pisces represent the ending of the winter season. So, the Pisces, the 12th house, allow us to transit from the winter season, death, into the spring season, life, or the beginning of life, because it's not summer. But physically, it plays out as the ending of the digestive integumentary axis. The 12th house Pisces, nature is cold and wet, and Neptune is cold and wet. They deal with the concept of diffusion and somatics. Somatics means vibrations, frequency, things of that nature, which plays out through like Pisces in terms of psychology as them being very sensitive, them feeling people emotions and things of that nature. And also they're ruled by Jupiter. So Pisces are co-ruled by Neptune, but they're also ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter is hot and wet. It deals with the concept of expansion. And expansion can play out as inflammation, or which is acidic, or can play out as flexibility, which is alkalinity. Now this make them deal with problems related to sensitivity to the physical and the mental realm, because they internalize too much from the external world, like I was saying earlier. What Pisces need to learn to do, not to internalize too much, not to feel too much. This will lead them to becoming crazy and people calling them flunked out and things of that nature. So they could end up developing a lot of psychological issues, mental issues, because they receive too much, because they're very sensitive. This is not only water, this is mutable water, this is flexible, adaptable water. So this is where a Pisces could play as a chameleon. A Pisces could adapt to whatever environment, whatever group they are in. So Pisces, they could also deal with problems related to mucus discharge, anything related to mucus buildup in their body, which include things like cold, flus, and also they could deal with indigestions and constipation issues, because they obviously oppose Virgo. And since a lot of people like to say Pisces, the 12th house, rules your feet, they could deal with deformed feet or something wrong with their feet. Maybe because maybe something they're born with, or maybe that they don't pay attention to the way they walk or their feet, so they end up injuring their feet. And that is an assumption of mine, since they live in the three mental world and things of that nature. Now Neptune and Jupiter rules Pisces. Neptune rule the condition of the surface of tissues and organs. So Neptune deals and rules that condition, it rules the quality of our tissues and organs on the surface level. And Jupiter rules the condition of tissues, alkalinity, flexibility versus inflammation, acidic, swellness, and expansion. All these planets are being filtered through Pisces 12th house, representing the intermediary system. So Neptune and Pisces get filtered through our skin, and you're gonna see how to do that. Venus is exalted in Pisces, and this represents a planetary position which correspond to Pisces, the 12th house, being in the recovery process, or overexhausted itself. So Venus is being overworked in Pisces. This is why Pisces, they love, they overindulge on their dreams, imagination. They might even have a sweet tooth and things of that nature. But this is how it plays out physically, since Pisces deal with the skin and Venus deal with actually the hormone and the excretory system. It has become apparent that the skin itself possesses the capacity to generate several hormones and a substance with the hormone-like activity. Basically, the skin can metabolize its own hormones and produce derivatives with potential of somatic activities. So the skin, Pisces, being having Venus exalted there, which represent our hormones, give Pisces, the 12th house, our skin, the quality to produce hormones and derivatives that could affect your body. This is what I was trying to say. With your skin, you feel in the external world, which allow you to do a lot of biological things. Just imagine how if you did not have a skin, you would not be able to respond to a lot of things that happen in the external world. Your skin plays a very important factor. This is why Pisces, the 12th house, sextile Taurus is the endocrine system. So by that sextile opportunity, it allowed them to work together. It allows the hormonal system, the endocrine, to work with the skin. Mercury is debilitated in Pisces. This represents a planetary position which corresponds to Pisces, the 12th house, the intermediary, showing the beginning of decline in oxygen, lungs, and bowels, since Mercury rules our lungs, our bowels, but also represent oxygen, because it's Hermes, the messenger of the god, and play out psychologically through Pisces having the lack of ability to communicate their dreams, their illusion, imagination. This is what make Pisces become artists and things of that nature. But right now we're talking about the biology, how it plays out. So this will affect Pisces, the 12th house, this way. The nasal hair that are connected in our skin inside our nose help us to filter out the particles that may damage the respiratory tract, the respiratory system. When people come from the emergency responses to find someone, how a patient is doing, one of the first things they do is check their skin color. When you see someone is pale, you first assumption to assume that there's something going on with this person, because this person somehow is having an issue getting the oxygen that he needs to make his skin color look normal or fresh. aka the blood flow. This is why air energy rules the blood flow in our body. And since Mercury is debilitated in Pisces, a lot of Pisces, they could end up developing this issue of not having a good breathing pattern, not spending enough time doing breathing exercises, because sometimes they fall in that deep, dreamy, illusionary world that they forget to breathe. So that's something a lot of Pisces should definitely learn. And since Mercury deals also with communication and things of that nature, Pisces people, they should learn to communicate their ideas, their imagination, so they could have a better Mercury lungs oxygen health in their body. Now, to the 12th house Pisces square the 3rd house Gemini, this can play out as difficulties for the fresh blood representative through the sun to reach the surface of our organs and tissue, and specifically the most outer layer of our skin, the epidermis, which is part of our winter season bodily system. So if the blood is ruled by the sun, and if Gemini is part of the spring season, which is the beginning process of everything, and Gemini gets oxygen delivered to the heart, so the heart could utilize the blood to the sun to circulate everywhere in our body. But remember, the sun, the blood is ruled by what? Leo, the 5th house, and responsible for what? Circulating things in our body. But what's the hardest organs or hardest body systems for our body to send blood to? Is the winter season organs. And what's the winter season made up? Your bones, Capricorn, Aquarius, the 11th house, the meridian, the astrocyte, and the 12th house Pisces, the skin. So these organs, our bones, they don't get as much blood flow as our rest of our body. They get it in a very specific way. Our meridian system gets blood in a very specific way through the blood-brain barrier. The skin Pisces, they get blood, but it could be very hard to them. So you could see how the whole body is made up of 4 seasons, and you divide that into 12 parts, which help you understand things more deeper. Now the 12th house Pisces square the 9th house Sagittarius. So whatever is happening on our skin, on the surface of our skin, can act as a sign to show us if we are triggering the masculine side of Jupiter, which is Sagittarius, the 9th house, which is deal with alkalinity, flexibility versus inflammation, overexpansion, and swelling, which makes sense since Pisces, the 12th house, represent the skin, which is the large detox organs. So what if you have anything that causes inflammation within your body, the skin that is ruled also by Jupiter, Pisces, is going to show you might start getting whiteheads, pimples, eczema, and things of that nature. Is because the body is trying to show you, hey, there's something causing you to have some sort of inflammation in your body. And through studying your skin, and we know that the skin in our face and our body can show us that they correspond to different organs, and they can show us that we have problems with certain organs. So we can use our skin as a map to allow us to understand our body in a deeper way. Like, if for example, if you have pimples in the area of middle of your forehead, you could have liver issues. If you have pimples on the sides of your chin right here, you could be dealing with lung issues and things of that nature. So this is it for the video. I appreciate you guys for listening, and if you would like to check out any of our services or check out our Instagram page, the link is going to be in the link down below. Thank you for listening.